Hi guys! So, as you can see, it's just me today. Kelly is not with me, and that is because I received a certain request to do a video on chronic illness and how that relates to eating disorders and mental health issues. So, for me, the two are linked actually very closely together, and when I say the two, I mean chronic illness and the whole aspect of mental health, that umbrella. So this video is going to be pretty structured. I planned it out for you guys. First I'm going to talk about how chronic illness affects my anxiety. Then I'm going to talk about how chronic illness affects my depression. Then I will go into how it affects my eating disorder, and then vice versa, how my eating disorder affects my chronic illness, because it does go two ways. And then I'm just going to share some tips with you guys about what I do to help myself through all of this. So yeah, that's going to be the structure. So I guess I'll just start with saying what my chronic illnesses are. I have POTS, which stands for postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, with vasovagal syncope, and those two things are a result of having autonomic neuropathy. Basically, what autonomic neuropathy is that my autonomic nervous system does not function properly, that there's something wrong with the nerves and it doesn't function the way that it should, and so my body can't regulate things appropriately, like heart rate, blood pressure, there's gastrointestinal issues, so things like that. Now, how this affects my anxiety, it affects my anxiety in a lot of ways, actually. And a lot of times, too, it used to happen where my physical symptoms were mistaken for anxiety. And sometimes my anxiety is mistaken for physical symptoms. So the two, for me, are very closely related. When I get a super high heart rate, that can easily bring on anxiety and panic attacks for me. So I just have to kind of monitor myself and monitor my heart rate and kind of know, if my heart rate is skyrocket high, it's probably because of my POTS, and everything's going to be okay, because it used to send me into full-blown panic. And now that I have the knowledge, I can kind of combat that. Also, I get overwhelmed very easily when I feel ill, so if I'm not feeling well, I will probably get overwhelmed with life and everything. So this leads to a lot of anxiety. It leads to me having meltdowns. So that's just those are some ways that the chronic illness affects my anxiety. And when I first went to the hospital, when I was sent to the emergency room, for really low blood pressure, really high heart rate, low oxygen levels, after running a series of, standard tests, they dismissed me, saying that, that I had a panic attack. And I did have a panic attack, and I do struggle with panic attacks, but I just knew that there was something else going on. From the way I was feeling, it couldn't just be anxiety. So anyways, that's how chronic illness affects my anxiety. Now, how chronic illness affects my depression, I don't have severe depression, but I do go through depressive episodes, and fatigue. Fatigue just really kind of makes everything a lot worse. When I'm tired, I am fatigued, I tend to isolate, which affects my mood, and it really kind of just makes me feel sad and down. Also, the other thing is I get really down about things I can't do sometimes. So if I'm out and about and I find something really is difficult for me, and then I get overwhelmed, then I just start feeling really kind of depressed about everything and depressed about my situation. But what I've learned, though, is that you can't really, focus on all the negatives. And I know that sometimes, especially if you deal with a chronic illness and an eating disorder and other mental health issues, so if there's multiple things going on, it's really easy to focus on what is going wrong in your life. But, it doesn't help to do that. I've noticed that when I start doing that, it just brings me down. It makes me feel a lot worse. I know that, you know, I do struggle, I do, but there are a lot of good things in my life too. So trying to shift your focus onto things that are going well, I think is really helpful for that. All right, now I'll move on to how chronic illness affects my eating disorder. And these two I find are very intertwined. They really are. With my chronic illness, I often get upset stomach and I feel very nauseous and I don't feel hungry. And that also goes along with my eating disorder. Because of my eating disorder, I often don't feel hungry a lot of times. So that makes me not want to eat when I'm feeling sick to my stomach. Obviously, you know, I don't want to eat. And behaviors might be mentioned here, just saying that. I won't go into detail about anything, but in order to explain myself, I will have to mention some behaviors. Also, not moving around as much because I'm unable to. That kind of leads me to want to restrict more, because one of my symptoms was over exercising. I used to exercise a lot, and I liked it too. I do love exercise, but since being sick, I haven't really been able to do that. So not moving around as much kind of plays with my mind, and my eating disorder gets in, and it just kind of makes me want to not eat as much because I'm not being as active, which is, I know, logically a distorted thought or an eating disorder thought. Also, I am now on an exercise program, which I have yet to start, but you know, I'm pretty slow with this, but I do need to get it going. And that kind of brings back old, kind of old habits, old, you know, memories, things that I used to do with exercise, and now I have to bring exercise back into my life in a very structured way, and it just causes a lot of anxiety because I had so many problems with exercise in the past. So I am going to be working through that. You know, maybe I'll update you guys on how that's going, but I haven't started it yet. So I've been avoiding it, but I'm going to have to face it because I know it can really help make me feel better. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about how the eating disorder affects my chronic illness, and it really affects my chronic illness. And I'm sure, you know, if you guys suffer from any chronic illnesses or fatigue, you'll find that your eating disorder makes it a whole lot worse. It adds to the fatigue and tiredness, you know, and if you're fatigued and tired anyways, it's just going to make it that much worse. And I know I've experienced days like this, and it's terrible. It does not help to keep my blood pressure stable. I have low blood pressure anyways because of my POTS. So, you know, if I'm using eating disorder behaviors, well, it's going to lower my blood pressure even more and make that more of a problem. It increases dizziness, to the point where I just feel like I'm going to pass out all the time, because I already struggle with dizziness and, you know, passing out. So if you're not nourishing your body, then it's going to just amplify that. So the eating disorder really, really affects my chronic illness. Managing the two is tough. It's really hard to have both. And one thing I just want to talk a little bit about is that one of the hardest things for me is feeling like I have control over one and I don't have control over the other. And what I mean by that is that I don't have control over my chronic illness, but I have control over my eating disorder. It's my choice. And I know, like, taking a step back from that, I can see that that's not true. I mean, I know, like, in my heart that I did not choose an eating disorder, but that's a place where my mind automatically goes, is to the place of, oh my gosh, I chose this eating disorder and I didn't choose my chronic illness, and now I'm making my chronic illness worse on purpose, and that's just where my brain goes. But just know that, like, you know, you didn't choose your eating disorder. You didn't choose your chronic illness. You didn't choose any of this. We do, with our eating disorder, we have a choice to recover. We do have that. But developing one was not a choice, and that's something that I have to constantly remind myself of, because I experience so much guilt and shame over this when I act out on behaviors, because I know that, you know, it's going to make my overall health a lot worse, and it's not going to help with my chronic illness. And I have a lot of guilt over that. But just if you struggle with this, know that you didn't choose either of them, and just keep doing your best. Really just try your best. If you slip, it's okay. Just pick yourself back up and keep going. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about what I do to help myself. And a lot of this stuff is kind of just basic stuff, but it's actually really important and helpful for me, and hopefully they can help you guys. So the first one, try to eat properly. Now, I know that's pretty difficult when you have an eating disorder, and this one is a difficult one for me, especially lately with going to school and everything else. But really just try your best. If you're not nourishing your body, like I said before, it's going to make everything so much worse. It really does. You feel pretty terrible. So just, you know, do your best to eat what you can, get in 3 meals a day, you know, eat your snacks, just try. That's the first one, and this is something I need to continue to work on myself. The second one, drink lots of fluids. For my illness in particular, fluids are very important. Fluids are important for everybody. They really do make you feel a whole lot better. If you get sick of water, try different things like Gatorade. I have my Gatorade right here. Or Nun tablets, N-U-U-N. They have like salt and electrolytes and stuff like that. So yeah, just make sure that you're hydrated, because that will really help with everything. My third one is to get sleep. Make sure you have enough sleep. Sleep is so important for your mental health, for your physical health, and just rest when you're tired. Honor what your body needs. If you are tired and it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon and you have the opportunity to lie down and rest, take it. Just, you know, take any chance you can get to like rest, and resting is okay, and, you know, get the amount of sleep that you need. My fourth one is find a method of relaxation. I really need to work on this. Right now, I don't really have a good method for relaxing. But something that really came to mind for me is gentle yoga. Yoga is such a great way to unwind and de-stress and relax and kind of clear your head. So I really suggest something like that. You know, just do something that relaxes you and calms you. And I hope I will be able to get into yoga, because I really miss it and I enjoy it a lot. My fifth activity or thing to do to help yourself is journal your thoughts. I've been doing this a lot recently. Just journal out everything. If you're having a panic attack, if you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're not feeling well, just write it all out like you were talking to somebody, and just, you know, let it go. Just, you know, write out all of your thoughts, all of your feelings. It really does help. I know it helps me, because sometimes it's hard to find people to talk to who really understand what's going on, you know, especially if you're juggling like a chronic illness and along with like other mental health issues and an eating disorder. A lot of times I feel really kind of lost and alone and by myself. So I find what really helps me in those times is just journaling, because that way, you know, I'm just getting all of my thoughts out and I can say whatever I want, no censor, and that's a helpful thing for me. The next one is structure your day. This is actually a really good one for me too. This one has helped me a lot. Just, you know, to kind of have a plan, and you don't need to have a really like rigid plan. You can have a loose plan. That's perfectly fine. But, you know, kind of structure your day. Like, you wake up around the same time, you go to sleep around the same time, you eat around the same times, you know, just so that you have some consistency and you kind of know what your day is going to look like. That is something that really helps me with anxiety, with my chronic illness. You just kind of have to make sure that you monitor how you are throughout the day so you can plan the right times for things. And my last one is talk to someone. Really, I mean, talk to anybody. If you see a therapist, if you see, if you have a really good friend who understands what you're going through, or at least, who you can talk to, or a family member, someone who you feel comfortable going to, just really talk to them if you're struggling or having a hard time. That's important to be able to get that out. And again, that kind of goes with journaling your thoughts. But if you do have somebody to talk to, I really recommend reaching out to that person. Don't be shy. So yeah, that's my post for today. If you guys have any comments, questions, or whatever, feel free to leave a comment. You can email me, follow my Instagram, whatever. I'd be happy to reach out to you guys. So yeah, anyways, that's all. Have a great day. Bye.